Hey there, Amplifiers. Thanks for tuning in. And I want to appreciate and value your time, because that's what we're talking about today, is really taking some time so that we could be more effective at tracking time. Now, why is that important? Because you grow what you focus on and you can improve what you focus on. And so what we're going to be doing today is talking about how to achieve effective time tracking with none other than the CEO of timesheets, Joel Slatis. Joel, welcome to Growth Amplifiers.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here and taking a moment to share with our audience some of the value and insights that you've gained on your journey that help people run their businesses more efficiently and effectively. So if we could take a moment just to get an understanding of what are some of the biggest challenges that you see businesses face that you're trying to thwart with some of the services that you provide.
Right. Well, originally we built the service to handle our own employees, and I'm sure you've probably heard over and over from different companies over time that they started. Sometimes they're started as a sort of with a plan to make the world's best mousetrap. In our case, our mousetrap was it wasn't built like that. It was built because we actually needed it. I needed it to track my hourly employees. And at the time in 2004, when we started work, there wasn't a whole universe of time tracking software out there to choose from like there is today. So we said, well, we have all the skill in-house necessary to build this thing. And so we built our own product. Now, what we did was we sort of put it online, and then, right away, of course, customers started popping up, and each one, it seems, had a different request. So we, rather than having a product roadmap of what we thought would be interesting, we listened to all of our customers coming in, and anytime anyone wanted anything, we built that. And so at first, it's really easy to do because you've got a very small footprint, and the website at that point is not handling a massive amount of traffic, so you don't have to worry too much originally about scalability and those kinds of things. And so we just ended up building what customers wanted. And probably the most common thing was that people came to us was because they usually have, not always, but so many of them have employees who are sort of problem children. If you know what I mean.
Right.
They're concerned about buddy punching. They're concerned about people clocking in at times that they're, maybe not supposed to, or padding their timesheets. And if you do the math, a timesheet padded with just 10 minutes a day, which is very easy to get to 10 minutes. Some people pad 10 minutes a punch, right?
Right.
But just if you come at 8:02 and you write down 8 o'clock, nobody's going to bat an eye. I mean, you'd have to really be a nitpicky manager to bat an eye if somebody wrote down 8 o'clock, and they had been there at 8:02. But if that happens 4 times a day, it's very easy to get to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 minutes a day equals 40 hours a year, or an extra week of paid vacation a year. If you do the math, that's what you get from 10 minutes a day. Wow. 10 minutes a day comes to 40 hours a year in terms of time. So, some managers realize that. And although their problems were usually bigger, because when you have somebody who's like a problem child, that's not clocking in, or that's writing their time down on a paper timesheet, they're coming in at 8:10 and writing down 8 o'clock, or 8:15 and writing down. And so that happens multiple times a day. Their problem is very, very huge. They can really be seen from a mile away that their payroll costs are far exaggerated of what they should be. But even just 10 minutes a day is enough to save a whole week of time, of expenses, and for a small business owner, a week of, if they get to deduct a whole week of pay from an employee, they would feel that. That's an amount of money. And if you have 10 employees, that's 10 weeks, right? So it's exponential.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, that's the challenge that a lot of the small business owners face. And so we found ourselves building tools to sort of, fix that. And then After that, we added all of the little things that clients need. So 18 years later, we have a really mature product that's got all these features that have come from customers originally, customer requests.
That's really powerful, and I can appreciate, you're trying to help the owner curb people maybe padding some time, but then also, like from my background, helping people just improve. What you focus on grows. So if people are tracking and they have more awareness of where they're putting their time, just kind of being cognizant, hey, I just spent this amount of time doing this, and that can help them improve their performance as well. So it's like a double benefit, especially when you have the right manager who's leading the team and saying, how can we improve? How can we get better? Even those small little incremental changes can have a big impact. So for people that are running into, the situation with their teams, what, sometimes it's overwhelming. And sometimes people have told me, they've tried time tracking before, but they can't get people to use it. They can't get people to do it accurate. What are some actionable insights you could share with people that they know maybe they should, but maybe they just don't see how it could be done effectively?
Yeah, honestly, that's a tough one for some companies. I will say this: most companies who come to us and get signed up, eventually, they're able to get their employees using it. Most of our obviously, all of our customers are able to bridge that gap. And a lot of times, it's interesting because they're doing things. They come to us for one thing, but they end up using so much more because they realize that they're kind of doing weird things in their business. There's no book out there. There's no college class that's like small business administration, right? Running a small business. How do you do that as a manager? There's no college class for that because every business is so different. And so managers are left to invent, or owners rather of small businesses are left, all of us, really, you, me, everybody else, we're all left to invent our own policies and procedures and to make that all work. And because there isn't, a sort of a handy book, a handbook that you can pick up that says, hey, if you're gonna, if you're gonna start a small business, you should set up your time off policy to be this way, right? There isn't the typical thinking out there in the United States is, well, 2 weeks a year for vacation time, right? And some amount of sick time. I don't even know what I would say is the amount. Some laws like California, where we are, have statutory requirements. You need 24 hours of sick time per year. You have to give people, but other than that, there's no real guideline. And most people get more than 3 days a year of sick time anyway. So each business owner is essentially required to come up with the strategy and then implement that strategy in their business. And a lot of them end up doing really weird things, which come out when they come to timesheets. To sign up for timesheets.com. It comes out because we go through them to configure their account. And the tools that we've built are sort of, nowadays, I consider them like best practice tools. In other words, we're not going to build a feature into the website that encourages you to do weird things in the business. We're going to build the ones that help you sort of stay on the center of the path, so to speak. But when they come to us, they might do weird things. So a very common one that I run into is manager wants to be nice. And it's, by the way, it's always the guys who, want to be good to their employees that end up with the weird stuff, right? Because it's true. Because what they want to do is a normal manager, one that is not trying to necessarily be super nice to their employees, just like a normal manager. They'll have, when it's time for lunch, you take a half an hour or an hour break or whatever, and then you clock out for that and you clock back in and you come back to work. And that's simple. It's simple and it's straightforward and it's a best practice. But you have some managers who go, you know what, I want to be really nice to my employees, so I'm going to give them a free lunch. I'll pay for their lunch. So what they say to their employees is, hey, I'm going to give you a free lunch just as a perk, right? And because I'm a great guy and I like you and I want us all to be a big happy family. And so they end up giving a free lunch. And so how did they do that? Well, what they do is they tell their employees, well, you don't really need to clock out for lunch. Just go to lunch, come back. I'll pay you for the whole time. Okay. Does that make sense? So in other
Mhm.
words, you clock in at 8 in the morning and you clock out at 5, but you don't need to worry about clocking out for lunch. Everybody's happy. You get a free lunch. It's easier for you because you don't need to worry about clocking out for lunch. It's easier for me because I just give you the free lunch and I just pay you for the whole time, and it's just simpler.
Mhm.
But it causes all kinds of problems, and it's really not simpler, so we end up fixing these things. Why do we fix it? Why is it a problem? Well, first of all, if you're clocked in from 8 to 5, your time is not accurate. You actually did go to lunch. And when you don't take that time off and you clock out and clock back in at the end of lunch, you've got inaccurate records. Your overtime calculations are going to be off by some amount, right? So you'll have to
Mhm.
manually figure out how much time you deduct because you're not paying overtime. So your records are going to show overtime, but there really is no overtime. So if you ever have to go to court and defend yourself from a disgruntled employee who's unfairly accusing you of not paying for all their time, they're going to have records that show that they're due all this overtime, and you could end up paying taxes and interest and things like that, right?
Gosh.
Also, effectively clocking out, like when you're giving them like that lunch, there's a raise. It's essentially equivalent to a raise,
Mm.
right? Because you're actually giving them money that they didn't earn, that they haven't earned. You're giving them more money than the money that they did earn.
Right.
So the equivalent of it is a raise. You're essentially giving them a raise. So what do we do to fix these things? Well, and there are probably other issues that are not top of mind, right? But there are other things that are wrong. Oh, another one is like, imagine you give somebody a half an hour
Mhm.
and they routinely take 40 minutes. Now you're being a good guy and goodwill, you're extending goodwill, giving them a half an hour free lunch. Go take a lunch, come back. But if they come back in 40 minutes, they're kind of treading on that goodwill. But how do you fix that? Because the only way to fix that is to say, okay, you're not clocking, I'm mad, you have to clock out from now on, otherwise now you're really paying for 40 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And we already discussed 10 minutes a day is another 40 hours a week. So anyway, there's all these issues. So what we do is we get them to do it right. We say, look, stop giving them that free lunch and instead calculate how much that is as a raise, because that's what you're doing. So it's an easy way to stop doing it because the employee sees, oh, I'm getting a raise. It's a small raise. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. But now they clock out for lunch and they clock back in. You have accurate records. If they take a 40-minute lunch, it's okay. It's longer than what you wanted, but at least you're not paying them an extra 10 minutes, an extra week of vacation, right?
Right.
Plus you're getting that accountability. You're getting accurate records. Your overtime calculations are not wrong. Anyway, so by what we offer is, and I think most companies, not just timesheets.com, but really any time tracking company, offers the ability to sort of standardize and improve your business process so that you've got a best practice. You're doing things the right way. You've got good records. You have to keep records for several years, couple of years,
Mhm.
right? So you've got all that, and it's baked into a one product that saves you money. And if you really end up saving a week of vacation time per year per employee, you're actually saving money overall, including the money that you pay to timesheets, like or anyone else. Again, not trying to advertise timesheets here. Like any time tracking company that you contract with, if they're not ridiculously expensive, some are, you're going to end up saving more money than you spent because you're going to cut that main problem that you have of employees taking too much time. And at the same time, so you cut out that fat, and that the fat that you're cutting there usually is much more than the amount that you're actually paying for the time tracking.
Hey there, this is Kenny from Growth Amplifiers, here to ensure you get your awesome ideas into action to grow and improve your business and achieve your full potential. Take the first step by visiting growthamplifiers.com and clicking the Start Here button. Take the assessment to get your personalized score. Then select from free resources to learn how to improve your score. Don't wait. Be proactive and take action now by visiting growthamplifiers.com and clicking the Start Here button. And always keep on amplifying. Now, let's get back to the show. It makes a lot of sense. And for the people that know they need to do this, but they're just have that little bit of reluctancy, what would you tell them as like a first step? Because I know, I'll just share real quick on, if you go to timesheets.com, you offer a free trial, and you also can schedule a meeting with someone to, I guess, better assess. How does that work? Do you assess their business and kind of have that discussion, or?
Yes, yeah, we're consultative. So in other words, at least our model is
Mhm.
is a consultative model. So our customer support people are college educated, and they're smart and they understand business. And their job is to first of all have a discussion, like, what is it that you're here for? Why are you here? Right?
Mhm.
We have this, you've probably heard it before. There's that phrase, what is the problem that needs solving? There's even an acronym people use for that, TPS, not forget what it is, the problem that needs solving. Anyway, why are you here? What is the issue? You wouldn't, like, nobody just goes like, I think I'll sign up for time tracking for the fun of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. 100% of the people that come to timesheets.com are coming because they have an issue.
Mhm.
Okay. So our job, first of all, is figure out, like, what are all the issues? Okay. And determine whether or not we're the right place to be to solve those issues. Sometimes we're not. If somebody comes to us and they need some feature like shift differentials, that's like, if you're a union or maybe a hospital with nurses that work like swing shift or something,
Mhm.
you may need to be able to apply a shift differential anytime worked after 8 p.m. That's kind of a little bit more specialized. Or if you're an attorney and you want to track time for your cases, if you have hourly employees, then we have a lot of attorneys who use timesheets.com. But if you're an attorney and you want to track your own billable time, we can track billable time. But we're not really built for attorneys, because time tracking for billable time has special fields, like what case is this related to, and these kinds of things that we don't necessarily have. But there are a lot of times where it's a perfect fit, and we have to figure out what that is. And then we tell the customer, like, once we are done sort of interviewing them, yes, we can handle your problem. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. And then we go from there. And the other thing I'll say is that our approach to, and again, I can't speak for every company, in this case, just timesheets.com, but what we do is we don't really have like one of those answering service kind of machines where you call on the phone and you have to press 1 and then you enter your account number, and then 10 minutes later you maybe get to talk to somebody, or maybe longer, who knows. You're gonna usually talk to one of us right away. We answer the phone in person, and we would rather spend time with you, even if you're just tracking a couple people, not a huge contract. We'd rather spend time with you. It's advantageous to us to spend a half an hour, like one time or maybe twice, who knows, or 3 times, showing you how it works, teach the man to fish, so to speak. Because you're going to have a better experience. You're going to stay with us longer. Everybody's happy, so it's a win-win. So you need to have that personal contact with clients, and that's kind of where we are and how we do things.
I love that approach.
That's our company.
There is a bank. I'm not going to name any names. They are of America, and the customer service nightmare that I experienced once upon a time still gives me nightmares. So I really appreciate how you show up, and you're aiming to provide that consultative approach, understanding what someone's challenges are. And if you're not the best fit, you can guide them to a better solution. So that's really what it's all about, is helping people achieve solutions to the problem that is holding them back. And people that are tuning in, I encourage you, if you do need to get a better handle on how you're tracking your time, so that you can make sure that you're not losing time in different spots, so that you're getting the accurate reporting, and so that you can really create a growth culture to move your business forward. Definitely visit timesheets.com. As mentioned, they've got the free trial, and they'll schedule a consultation with you to understand your needs and determine if it's a good fit. So, Joel, any closing thought that you'd like to share with amplifiers who are tuned in? It could be related to time. It could be just something that you've learned on your journey that you'd like to share with others on theirs. Closing thought, that would be something you'd like to share.
Well, I wanted to mention that probably a lot of the people listening to this broadcast are accounting professionals, if not everyone. Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, maybe not everyone.
Okay, so for those who are, timesheets is a filling the space right now, working with accounting partners specifically. Like that's our target audience for marketing, mostly is accounting professionals, and we have a lot of them using our service because they can track their hourly employees using the punch, clock in, clock out, and that kind of thing, and time off and all that, and accruals, and then they can track billable time at the same time for billing clients, like I did an hour on 1099s over here and whatnot. And we have a pretty robust program that I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned, shameless plug, but for accounting professionals to track not just their own time, but clients and things like that. We have a whole partner program we call our pro partner program. And so I wanted to at least make sure people were aware of that. It wasn't just time tracking. It was also for us anyway, it was a partner program to help support our accounting clients, because we want our accounting clients to be successful. We're successful when they're successful.
That is awesome. I love it. So definitely connect with Joel and his team. Timesheets.com is definitely something that can help you amplify your business. Thank you, Joel, for tuning in, and I appreciate you and what you do.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Kenny.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.